This is Red Moon Role-Playing.
Masks of Nyarlathotep. Where last we left our investigators, Madeline Hopper was having a panic attack, a crisis, the flood of emotions that came through the last week. Hell, her entire life finally hit her square in the centre of the forehead, along with Captain Foster's revolver handle. Foster tried mocking her, tried intimidating her. Hell, he even succeeded, but it seems like he isn't going to be on the street for much longer. And despite the indignities Madeline has had to suffer, unlike Foster, she will be free for a bit more time yet. Shelby Shattuck has been following on his investigations, trying to find the whereabouts of various mystical tomes, calling round to Harvard University, speaking to, or trying to speak to, noted occultist Carl Stanford, and finally reaching out to local publisher Jonah Kensington to discover that the book he seeks was published in London, of all places, by the Penhew Foundation, a name that he has heard before. And Felix Bauer has been seeking solace in faith, in Lutheran churches dotted around New York, where finally he received some, well, we won't call it salvation, but a little bit of counsel from a kindly reverend. But any sense of solemnity that was conveyed was quickly washed away when Silas Nkwani, the dead cultist, made himself known as Felix's new passenger. We return to our group as they come together. It is a couple of days later, after the various events that we have just played through. You've been giving each other not a wide berth. In fact, given recent events, there's been routine check-ins just to make sure everyone's okay. But it's funny, the human condition, how long after trauma being checked up on can feel a little like invasion, a little like pestilence. And so, after the third day of routine checks, those things slid away. By the sixth day, one call at some point unannounced during the day, and if you weren't able to pick up, you would speak to the receptionist at the hotel, or Georgiana on the phone, or whoever, just to make sure that the respective investigator was still in the land of the living and hadn't departed New York. Now, 7 days on, the day Jackson Elias is due to leave Sing Sing prison, much to the hurrahs of King David's committee, who are taking full credit in the press. Indeed, the New York Times have celebrated this as a huge victory for black rights in New York. The three of you, joined by Rupert and Arturo. Rupert has returned now from his sojourn around New England. Sat together in a cosy cafe. Coffees in front of most of you, tea in front of Rupert. Well, I dare say this last week has done all of us a lot of good. Stretching my legs a little was wonderful for my constitution, I have to say. Arturo got to make some new friends, didn't you, Arturo? Arturo rolls his eyes. And I imagine, given that we've all been so cooped up with each other recently, involved in each other's messes, the three of you, I doubt you've been living out of each other's pockets.
Madeline just doesn't acknowledge. Just pours more sugar in the tea because I've absolutely been residing with Shelby for the last 3 or 4 nights.
Well, talkative, aren't you? Well, I obviously heard the news. Well, I saw the news. I picked up the paper on the way into the city. Almost front page, page 2. Incorrectly charged Jackson Elias. This is New York Times. Jackson Elias to be released. Black American novelist, it said. Charged incorrectly with murder. Real suspect located. Found dead. Lots of scandal. Exactly what we were promised, quite frankly. And I can imagine there is going to be something of a press buzz around Jackson when he gets out later today.
You may not want that.
That's not the end of it. Get this. So I spent a little bit of time in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. I heard about that.
He looks at you quizzically.
How was Julius Smith?
Now he furrows his brow. Have you been keeping tabs on me, Shelley?
I lean close to him. I'm in your mind. No, I just happened to call him and he mentioned your name.
Yes, ordinarily Rupert would laugh that off, but perhaps due to recent events, he looks thunderstruck, shocked. Have you been working magic or something?
No. I happened to call him about another question, and he mentions that he found you very charming and vivacious, and given what limited I could hear of him, it sounded like he was equally avuncular. So,
Thank. I'm sorry. For some reason, I didn't. Yes, of course, that was a joke. I'm sorry, Shelley. Obviously, I'm not some sorcerer or mystic. Well, anyway, yes, Julius Smith was a thoroughly ripe fellow, very, very charming, and got to know Arturo and I. He has this whole school of epiphenomenologists. I think I may have got that wrong.
wow.
Over in England, lots of young investigators who, people who like to explore the unknown, to debunk them, you understand. Professor Smith is a skeptic. But it was through Smith that I was introduced to a man who could help me with those books I was carrying around from Erica Carlyle. I was introduced to a man by the name of John Scott. Now, he's a rum sort of fellow, a bit stern, I suppose. Always got a bodyguard nearby. Quite a figure of stature in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And a real Freemason type. I mean, he belongs to something called the Order of the Silver Twilight, which for me sounds like like I say, Freemasons, Rosicrucian, that kind of thing. But Smith recommended I speak with him about these books, about what we've been looking into. He said Scott is a reliable sort, knows his stuff backwards and forwards, in and out, used other phrases like that. So I had a sit down with Mr. Scott, and, well, we made a deal. He sits back as if that is that. He's got a smile on his face, claps his hands together. Now let's order the afternoon tea.
Rupert? What deal?
Well, you see, I didn't quite trust that our Order of the Black... the Bloody Tongue, that they would keep to their word. I mean, let's be honest. Arturo was right. These are not dabblers. They are, well, they're murderers. We know they're murderers. And it seems the Order of the Silver Twilight's mission is to combat groups like that, to really pluck them out from the root. They have very different understandings of the universe. And John Scott said he could speak for this Order of the Silver Twilight, because, like the Masons, they have a lot of influence over a lot of politicians, police officers, that kind of thing. And he said that they would be willing to, as it were, nip this Bloody Tongue group in the bud, now that we were able to give them certain information about the Bloody Tongue. And it was at a very low cost.
Which is?
The books that I was ferrying around, I donated them to the Order of the Silver Twilight. Because they're our kind of people, Shelley. They are people interested in the things we're interested in, but with the resources to combat these things. For the last, and he's looking at all of you now, clearly seeing, even from Arturo, who's just been staring into his coffee, we've been fumbling around like idiots in the dark, and occasionally we've stumbled upon something good, but most of the time we've fallen into bear traps. I mean, how many times now have, especially the three of you, nearly come out with a lost limb? Or life, for that matter. And I was saying, just over a week ago, I was saying we need to find other people like us who are better equipped who actually know what they're talking about. And we can't always rely on Jackson Elias. At that time, we didn't even know if we would have Jackson Elias. Hell, I didn't know until I was on the train back. And so I've put all of my chips, as it were, on this Order of the Silver Twilight group. I trust them. They are like the Dons at Cambridge, as in England. They have a certain arcane way about them, but they seem to me to be the kind of people you can rely on to get the job done.
I'll stare at Rupert for a moment.
I'm going to look over the faces and the body language of both Shelby and Felix. Can I get a read on what I think you guys are thinking or feeling at this moment?
I am conflicted. Body language is, arms crossed, glaring at Rupert. Not daggers, not fury, but certainly I'm very stone-faced at the moment.
No, I've been listening to this, of course, and on some level, of course, I'm impressed by the initiative that Rupert is showing. And we certainly could use the help if this Order of the Silver Twilight is what he says that they are. Well, we do need allies. So I am, I suppose, cautiously optimistic and trying to be as supportive as I can of Rupert, who is a friend, after all. And I should trust him.
He smiles weakly at you, Felix, but it's impossible for him to avoid the scathing stare of his friend, Shelby. I won't apologize, Shelley. That you could have died in that place. You could have died in Peru. Or any one of us could have. And he drills his finger down into the table with enough force that a number of the cups jump out of their saucers.
Rupert.
This order, they are the real deal. They are an ace. They're not just going to affect this through the levers of power, as in, they're not just going to manage arrests. They are going to seize whatever occult nonsense this bloody tongue group has, and they are going to take it, they are going to store it, they're going to put it away, make sure no one else can get their hands on it. They were very excited. Mr. Scott was very, very interested in what these bloody tongue people could have, and what the Order of the Silver Twilight could learn. So, I'm not sorry. I think someone had to push the chips across the bloody table and make a bet, and I've done it.
Arturo, what do you think of this?
He shrugs and says, I will be heading back to Mexico in a week or two. I've had enough of America.
Well, I bet we could agree, at least.
Yes, Arturo and Rupert gives him a rather sad look. We've agreed that our professional relationship has reached its close, hasn't it, Arturo? We've parting on no ill will, are we, Arturo? No ill will.
Well, obviously I'll be sorry to see you go, Arturo, but I understand. And to you, Rupert, I understand. I obviously disappointed that we've lost the books, but you shouldn't have to apologize for that. You did what a friend should do. I just need you to know, and maybe this is our own parting of the ways, if it comes to that. I'm not going to stop looking into this. These people hurt my friends. I have to follow this to the end.
Well, I understand that. I do. And I told Mr. Scott that was likely. that we would keep looking into this. We'd follow this trail, and he seemed enthusiastic for it and asked that I call him or send him a telegram whenever I find something new. Because we're working together. We have their backing, is my point.
Okay.
Wherever you go, Shelby, I'm going to come with you, at least until you ask me not to.
I wouldn't do that. And I offer him my hand.
Oh, he bats it away. We don't need to shake hands, Shelby. We've known each other for longer than I can imagine we haven't.
But I suppose it leads us to the next question, which is, what do we do? I mean, Arturo, I don't hold anything against him. I don't hold anything against you, Arturo. I mean, circumstances we're in are dangerous and terrifying, and we've all been through a lot. I've said my piece on it, but I'm not speaking for everyone else. If anyone else needs to step off the train, as it were, I completely understand. You will always have my friendship.
Si, senor, thank you. Likewise, if you are ever in Central America, this is a big place, but you should seek me out. I think I will be trying my luck in Mexico City for a while. I will not be going back to Peru.
I've heard it's a wonderful city.
It's big, he says, raising his eyebrows. Easy to get lost there.
Turn to Madeline and Felix. What about you two?
It's a good question, but I feel like this isn't done. There's so much left to do. And wherever we go, I want to be there. And I want to do everything I can to continue to keep you safe, just like I was supposed to keep you safe during the original expedition. This is just a continuation of that, I say, smiling. So, wherever you go, I go.
You've certainly done an excellent job so far.
Well, we're alive, I guess.
Yes, proves my point.
I look to Madeline.
I look back at Felix. You can see it on her face. She's like, oh, do I have to say it out loud? You three would be completely lost without me, of course. I'm going to see this through. Someone has to watch after you.
It's at that point that the restaurant door opens and a loud voice calls over to you. The guy at the hotel reception said you'd be here. Here you are, and here he is. And Carlton Ramsey turns around, gestures at Jackson Elias, who walks in behind him. And it is like the arrival of a celebrity, not just because Carlton Ramsey has announced him as if he is an actor about to take the stage, but everyone in the restaurant has seen the newspaper at this point. Everyone has heard the name Jackson Elias. There is applause from the mostly white patrons of this place. And Jackson allows himself a smile, a bow. He removes his hat. And as he stands up, he says, "If I knew I was going to get this kind of applause, maybe I'll spend 2 months inside next time." There is light laughter. Then people return to their meals because even in the 1920s, news travels and passes fast. There are curious eyeballs observing, but no one's going to interfere in this man's newly found freedom. He's already run the gauntlet of the press, of the evangelists, of the well-wishers and the naysayers. And now here he is. You can well imagine that Carlton has taken a few back streets and U-turns to make his way here so that he hasn't been followed by a crowd of either persuasion. And Jackson, who has most certainly seen better days, he is thinner in the face, a little paler, his eyes receded, his jaw slightly askew, not wildly so, but enough that you can recognise the damage that's never truly going to heal. But he can still smile. And he walks over to all of you, and in turn, hugs you, kisses you, irrespective of who you are. He extends the same to Arturo, who he barely knows. And the montage that follows does contain weeping of joy and sorrow, because it's high time that you acknowledged and heard everything that Jackson went through at prison. It wasn't fun, it was grim, entirely grim. He explains that when he was finally put in solitary, it was for the best. Not just for him, but for the other inmates who were being paid to beat the shit out of him. Because they were only going to get in more trouble. They were forced. If they weren't going to do it, the guards would have kicked the shit out of them. And he explains to all of you the trials and tribulations, none of them lawful, that he has endured. But he doesn't do any of it with hate in his voice. Yes, he cries from time to time. It's not racking sobs. He's able to talk as the tears run down his cheeks. But finally he reaches today. You know, I heard, he says. Carlton told me some of what you were able to arrange. I don't know the fullest detail of it. You understand. I'm guessing you haven't told Carlton all of it, he says, looking over at Carlton, and Carlton shakes his head, and that's probably for the best. But the fact is, I'm out, I'm free, and it's thanks to you. I shouldn't, and his voice catches, I shouldn't be here. I know that. This is, there were powers at play who didn't want this to happen. And you stopped them. I know you're not going to hold it over me, you'd better not, but I am eternally in your debt.
You're a friend.
So I need some decent food.
Well, all I've got is whatever available here.
Yeah, this restaurant's a little too high class for me. I think we need to head down to Harlem.
Sounds good to me.
Carlton, can we take the car? Yeah, you got it. And so you move. You drive down to Harlem, where you can eat some good, hearty food, full of flavour, and none of the pretense of Upper Manhattan. Or indeed, I should say, none of the pretense of Lower Manhattan. And then you can finally breathe again. It has felt a little like, ever since Jackson Elias re-entered your life an hour or so ago, that you have been holding your breath in case this isn't true. Felix, for you, there's that ever-present possibility that he is just another phantom, despite the fact everyone else is interacting with him. And Shelby, you can't help but occasionally check your peripheral vision, look over your shoulder just in case the bloody tongue emerge on the scene to finish what they started. And Madeline, your eyes are wide open for the possibility that Captain Foster may just show up, full of indignation, waiting to go out like a fireball as he promised. But, mercifully, none of that occurs. You get to sit on a stoop, eat some good food, take in the New York air, as humid as it might be, and breathe. So, I'm guessing we're not sticking around New York, he says, wiping his mouth.
Well, I mean, we are probably leaving. If you want to come with us, that is your choice.
Oh, I loved the Big Apple, don't get me wrong, but right now, I'm a marked man. I think anywhere I go, I'd rather be with friends.
That is entirely valid, given how things have gone. And to be fair, I think we're all feeling a bit anxious to put the city behind us, at least for a while.
I nod in agreement.
Yes. There are ghosts here of what happened at the Juju house, and I wouldn't mind putting some distance between myself and that.
Do you share with Jackson everything you've been through? Is that, or to put it another way, do you hold anything back?
Unless she stopped Madeline to spilling everything.
Oh yes, and I think Felix too would be very inclined to just say all of it, because somehow that lightens the load a little bit, not having to carry it all inside.
And for a while there, Felix, it feels like God smiles as you launch your confessional.
I wish I could have told the priest that, but the Reverend would never have believed it, and perhaps it's best that regular people don't have to carry the weight that we have to carry. That's perhaps the Christian thing to do.
Yes, it's times like that you wish you were a Catholic. So, Shelby, it seems that Madeline and Felix are expurgating all their rancid thoughts, everything that's been swilling around in there from the last couple of weeks of investigation and encounter. So even if you did want to hold something back, it's going to prove very difficult.
And my reticence is not about keeping information from Jackson. I mean, he's, as I said, he's my friend, he's our friend. I don't want to hold anything back. It's more the realization, the piece that I've been trying too hard to think about, is that I've killed someone in the course of this. He was a horrible person. And then on top of killing someone, I framed him for murder. But I will tell Jackson everything. I'm not proud of it, and I'm gonna maybe elide certain details because I'm not proud of them, but I won't hold anything back now.
It's as you are explaining this that Nkwani, beside you, Felix, clicks his tongue and sucks his teeth. He did kill me. And you wonder why I stick to you like tar. It's because you are the Reaper. You are the Scythe. And death follows you like a cloud. He is too pure. You are immersed up to your chin in the quagmire of Hades.
And I try to say this not out loud within my mind, because I don't want to appear crazy in this moment. But I will persist. In spite of that, you can't break me. You won't. But you'll try.
Tantalus will persist.
Yes.
So, if I had a map here, Jackson says, looking around at the streets, and sat on the stoop as you are, of Madeline's old place, I would be looking at the globe and saying, where are we headed?
I think England, wasn't it? I look over to Shelby and Felix.
Yeah, I have... Sorry, I'm still coming to terms with all this. I have a lead. I've tracked down the publisher of the book you were looking for. It's the Penhew Foundation, and they have an office in England, London, and I'm sure you recognize the Penhew name, both the card you found and also as one of the people who were part of the expedition.
That's right. Aubrey Penhew.
Right, so it feels like Aubrey and his foundation and his estate are probably the next steps, because they were willing to give up their persecution of you for that book, so clearly it's important.
Back to London. I tried to get into the Penhew Foundation when I was there, before I came back to New York as my last stop. I tried to speak to Gavigan, the man in charge. I was obstructed at every turn, but I certainly drew some pretty foul attention. I mean, what happened to me here was bad, no doubt. I always got the impression in London that they wouldn't have gone through the routine of trying to fit me up for a crime I didn't commit. They would have just cut me into pieces and dropped me in the Thames.
Mm-hmm.
But the Penhew Foundation seems like a good place. There was another, when I was there, because I was trying to find anything I could to connect to the Carlisle expedition. You know that now, of course. As I say, I believe that some of them are still alive. I don't know what they're doing, but I think they were either looking for something or they found something, and it made their expedition follow another course. The parallels with our expedition in Peru are too great. I wonder if Larkin was trying to follow in their footsteps, because they disappeared before we were in Peru. This was years ago. And we stopped him before he could. Anyway, when I was there, I asked a local journalist, Mickey Mahoney. He's owner and editor of a paper, it's a rag, called The Scoop. It's all kind of sensationalist tales, and I wouldn't have taken it seriously except some of the stories he published. There was good investigation. There was good journalism. Now, I asked him to look into a few things, anything he could tie to the Carlisle expedition, to Sir Aubrey Penhew, and his foundation. So, it would be worth finding out if he discovered something. I had to leave London before he came up with any answers.
Mm-hmm.
My worry in the end is, from what you've told me about what was in the Juju house, whatever that was, and what we know was in Peru, that there are other creatures like this around the world, that there are other groups serving them, and that they wish to bring them to some kind of empowerment, some kind of ascendancy. This isn't the kind of thing you can just set the police on.
It does seem that Rupert has managed to make inroads to a rival organization that works specifically to deal with such factions, I suppose you would call them.
Yes, you see, I didn't know if you were ever going to get out of prison, Jackson. I didn't know, and to cut a long story short, I made friends with John Scott of a group called the Order of the Silver Twilight in Boston. I understand they got branches, as it were, like a bank, I suppose, in various parts of the world, but especially New England. And they seem quite well versed in, and Jackson cuts him off kindly. He puts his hand up. It's okay, Rupert. I've heard of the Order of the Silver Twilight. I don't know much about them. I don't think they have a huge involvement in the things that we are looking into. That's not to say they aren't mystically inclined, but let's just be careful with what we give them and tell them until we know what their agenda is. Rupert seems ready to protest, but seeing you, Shelby, and the fact that you were prepared to accept Rupert's rash decision, he nods and says nothing further. Arturo gives him a little hug for that.
I think agendas is something that we should discuss, at least now, before we start heading across oceans. For the past month, everything that we've been doing has been hyper-focused, channeled into you. So I look up to Jackson, and now you're free. You've been returned to us, and we're all committed to see this through to the end, but do we actually understand what this is that we're seeing through to the end? What are our actual goals here? What is our win condition? What are we looking to accomplish?
He smiles at that. I wish there was a simple A to B. I wish I could tell you that there's a way we know that we've won. Things started getting out of control, getting dangerous, when I started tracking down the members of the Carlisle expedition, or rather what their businesses were, where their interests lie, and discovering that there was more to them than just a bunch of rich archaeologists or antiquarians or frankly just people interested in adventure. It makes Augustus Larkin look like an amateur. I suppose in many ways he was. He was just a vessel, after all. This team seems to be more, well, they know what they're looking for, or at least knew what they were looking for. As far as I'm concerned, we can only put this to bed when we know that they are incapable of finding what they're looking for. Does that mean they all need to be dead in the ground? No. But if they are, that's a solution. He puts a hand up to emphasize the point. But I remain convinced, and maybe it's rather futile optimism, that if these people are human and sane and interested and curious, they can be convinced that what they are trying to unlock or what they are attempting to serve is not going to benefit them. That we either reach these people if they are still around and we convince them of the error of their ways, or if they have committed crimes in their activities and they decline to stop whatever it is they are doing, we expose their crimes, whether that is to the police or the press. And if all else fails, he leaves it open, but looks at Felix pointedly, because after all, Felix has snatched more than one life.
I nod. I'll do what needs to be done.
You see, he can smell it on you as well. Mustard gas, maybe? The stench of the trench. All those bodies. All that filth. Doesn't matter how many times you clean those fingernails, Felix, they will always be dirty.
I can't change my past.
No, you none of us can, says Jackson. And you shouldn't be ashamed of anything in your past, Felix. None of us should be. We are here. I'm not going to say it's destiny, because I don't believe in any of that nonsense, but I am going to say that we are on a path that needs pursuing. And I am so glad that all of us are still here to do so.
And I sort of shake my head back into reality. You're right. And I'm there, all the way.
In a strange mirror to how Shelby tried to console Rupert earlier, Jackson reaches over to shake you by the hand, Felix. It's a firm shake, and even though everything until now has been warm embraces, kisses on the cheeks and on the lips and on the foreheads, this feels like, well, it feels like a pact. It feels like a bond formed, Felix. One of trust, more than affection. Jackson is prepared to fight and die for you, just as you are for him.
Yes, and it's a promise that I don't take lightly. I nod.
Well, let's get some. Believe me, I am looking forward to sleeping. I am looking forward to sleeping on a comfortable bed. But as you can probably imagine, I have very little mooring me here now. Unless everyone else has outstanding business in New York, I intend to find the next ship heading east.
I'll be counting the pints until then.
I'll make sure everything is departure ready. Arturo, is this where we say goodbye then?
Si, senora. I think I am. I wish all of you well. And I hate to feel like a coward, but I'm not fleeing. I just have had my fill, I think.
I definitely don't think you're a coward.
No, I haven't seen you afraid of anything, Arturo. Bravest man I know.
Arturo, walk with me. I have one parting request before you leave.
He nods. Rupert smiles up at him. He gets up, brushes off his trousers, and says, I will see you all in the morning, I hope. Mm-hmm. And he puts his arm out for Madeline to take.
I untangle myself from Jackson and then immediately retangle with Arturo. It's a very fluid motion.
How can I help you, Miss Hopper, he says, after you're about 20 yards away from your companions.
You said something that inspired me at the table. You said Mexico City was big. I know it's big. But you said it's a place where you can get lost.
See, it is.
I don't know what the upcoming days are going to bring for this group of us, but if it's anything like the days that we've put behind us, they're going to be challenging. And in situations like this, I have found that it is always good to have a home base or a place of retreat, a place to hide, a place to get lost. In case one of us... And she pauses. I'm not asking you to set up an invitation to bring towards you. Arturo, I need you to find us a place in Mexico City where if we need to, we can retreat.
He blinks softly and nods his head. See, I can do that. That is a small thing.
I don't want this darkness or shadows to follow you, but Harlem isn't safe for us. If we get separated, if something happens, if the worst happens, we need someplace to fall back on.
I will make sure that you have friends waiting for you in Mexico City if you need to find them. And myself as well.
And the tears fill my ducts, but I refuse to blink to release them.
Hey, he says. And his pointing at you at this moment is eerily similar to Foster, except without the threat that comes with it. Hey, you want my advice?
Yes, please.
It is something you already know, but you may have forgotten. You have been moving around New York so much. I bet that you have. That if you go to London, and you get into any trouble, you rely on the poor to help you. You run, you break into the house of the nearest slum you find. You say to the family who are in there, wall to wall, I need your help. I am being followed. I am being attacked. And those people, they will recognize you as like them and they will stand up for you. But you are in a place with mansions, estates, you will hammer on their door and you will die on their doorstep. They will not open it for you. You make sure you find your own safe places, Madeline. You look for people like us, huh?
And as he's speaking, I can't help but to metabolize the truth in his words. Both what he's saying, but also that I have forgotten. Because when I go back in my memory to Peru, it was those people that took me in. It was our people that mended my busted leg, that brought me food, that brought me water, that cleaned me, that treated me with suspicion at first, but that didn't stop them from helping me. That didn't stop them from showing me dignity and patience and support and protection. He's not wrong on either account. The words are true. And I had forgotten. Thank you. That's very sound advice.
Here's hoping you won't have to use it. He kisses the back of your hand, gives you a smile, reassuring smile. Let's take a walk around the block. Stretch our legs and make Jackson wait. We've been waiting for him long enough.
There's that shy embarrassment because I understand precisely what he's saying. I nod in agreement. And you should have one more bagel before you leave Harlem.
Oh, I will. I will find out the recipe and I will take it home.
And I smile, I drop my head on his shoulder, and we will continue this walk.
And that feels like a fine place to conclude our episode and Chapter 2 of Masks of Nyarlathotep.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play Masks of Nyarlathotep for Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Joining us as our keeper is none other than our dear friend Matthew Dawkins, and we were also joined by Bridgett, Jeffries, and Eddy Webb. The music was made by Agersonus and Halgrath, and we've also used Cryochamber's Lovecraftian compilation albums. All of this with the permission of Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon: Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Graham Barey, Doug Thomson, Lily, Maciej, Black Templar, Dennis Sadecki, and Leonhardt for their generous support. We would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, this show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of the Lost, Call of Cthulhu, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and Warhammer 40k Imperium Maledictum there. And you can also get early and raw access to all of our recordings, and hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as even play some Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, I am the last. I will tell the audient void.